All right, hello everyone, and welcome to Handmade Hero. We are back from RSI break. At least we're gonna try. And what I said that we would do this week is try to get ourselves set up with 4coder, because I've been wanting to switch to 4coder for a while. Emacs, I really kind of wanted to get rid of Emacs. That's been a long time me wanting to get rid of Emacs. And I have to switch, or at least wanted to switch to a somewhat modal key binding scheme just to see if that would help with the RSI stuff. And so I did that in Emacs. I actually programmed one in Emacs Lisp, and it's awful, 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 awful trying to work around Emacs's just super buggy interior core. And super hacky just how it's all set up. Whereas I think in 4coder, even though 4coder does not have support for modal, I think I can actually code one pretty easily. Just knowing what I know about how the bindings work, it really probably isn't that hard to just make some C code that solves this problem. So we're going to try that, and we'll just take it easy this week. We're just going to do some coding on 4coder. We'll see where we get. If we're successful, I will be a very, very happy camper, because I've always wanted to move away from Emacs to something that isn't a total pile, and 4coder's looking pretty nice. This would be great. I could even switch to it at work, and that would be pretty awesome. So let me first just tell people who don't know about this what it is. So Alan Murray, who actually, Alan Murray, that's awesome. So Alan Murray is actually someone totally different. Alan Webster is the person who made 4coder. Alan Murray is actually a person, I think he used to be a producer at PopCap. And the reason that his name always sticks in my mind is because for some reason, somebody mistyped A-L-L-E-N as A-L-I-E-N, or misread it one time on an email chain. And so he became Alien Murray, which is kind of awesome. So Alien Murray did not write 4coder. Don't give him the credit for it, because he's a producer. He might not even know how to program, to be honest with you. Alan Webster, on the other hand, did write 4coder, and he does know how to program. And if you want more information about it, you can go to 4coder.net, and it's here. But more importantly, if you click on the Alpha tab, you can go to his Patreon page, where you can support the development of 4coder. And if you do, in fact, if you give $5 a month or more, you can get the customizable version that I have here. So anyone who's not doing that, I don't even know what to say to you, because honestly, $5 a month for an awesome editor is really not a lot to pay, and so far it seems a lot better than basically any other editor. And with that in mind, let's go ahead and get started. So that's 4coder. I already kind of got it out here now. Keep in mind, this is super, super, super duper alpha software. So we are like way beyond alpha testing this thing. So expect crashes, expect stuff like this. But of course, since Alan is a friend of all of ours on the stream, we're probably in good hands, because we can just save it for him. Now, oh, right. The first thing that I've got to do is recompile my, my DLL, because I made a 4coder custom DLL, which will immediately crash this thing. So I got to actually build that so that we can do our dev on it. So let me just go ahead and do that. Let's see here. I am w4coder kc.cpp, and I got to build our custom library. So there it is, and I think that rebuilt it. And let's see. Basically, if this doesn't crash, we rebuilt it. Yeah. So this is 4coder, and it is set up so that we have basically a C programming interface to it. It's one of the reasons that I'm really excited about it, because I don't want to have to learn more Lisp to program my editor, right? Which is what Emacs forces me to do. I want to just program in the language that I program in all day, which is C and C++. So hey, it's kind of nice. So this is 4coder, and what I want to try and do is I want to try and get 4coder into a state where it's basically the same as my Emacs config. Alan Webster, not Murray, although maybe we could start calling him Alien Webster. I don't know if he likes it. Sounds weird, so probably not. But Alan Webster has added most of the features that I actually need for my Emacs editing already. So I don't think we really are going to have to give very much up either, which is kind of nice to get started. So let's go ahead and see what I've got in my Emacs file here. Let's see. I've got underscore Emacs. All right. So in my Emacs file, this is how I set up my bindings. So here they are. So what I did is I said, okay, if I got to switch my Emacs to Modal, it's going to take me too long to learn like a totally new setup. So what I did is I kept most of my key bindings the same. If you've watched my intro to Emacs stream where I showed how my key bindings normally work, most of my key bindings are the same. And the only thing that I did was remap keys where I had Control key and Alt key of that letter bound to different things. Because obviously, if I'm modal and I'm not holding down any modifiers, there's no way to distinguish between those two things, right? So what I've done is I basically kept most of the same commands. So like F, which is Control F in mine is yank. It's still yank. It's now you just hit the F key when you're in the modal mode. You don't have to hold down a modifier. G is still go to line, right? B is still switch buffer. Blah blah blah. So I kept as many of them as I could, and so it's mostly the same. And then what I did is I said that the tilde key, right, this key, the back quote, which I never type for any reason, ever, switches modes. So you can just tap that and you switch in and out. No need to hit like Shift colon or any of this stuff like in VI or anything like that. Just tap that. Similarly, the insert key. So either hand can switch modes. You can either hit the insert key or you can hit that tilde key, and that switches modes. And that's it. So that's really all that I have to do. So this we're looking at right here is more or less the majority of what would need to happen to get this going. These keys right here. And honestly, these keys down here I don't even use. I bound them the F keys. I might start to learn to use them, but they're not even relevant. So it's really just the stuff, for the most part, that's right here in the home end, like left, right. And then this stuff here that's in the various main keys. So that's it. That's all we're trying to do. Not too much. And like I said, I think Alan's already got us most of the features we need. So some of these we'll have to get rid of, like iMenu and Quick Calc. We'll have to do without for a little while. But other than that, I think we're pretty close to good. And I also don't know. I'm going to email Alan after we sort of get things working, like tonight or tomorrow, and ask him a couple questions about what stuff we can do, because I don't know to what extent we can access buffers or like parse our own stuff or anything like that. But if we have access to some of those things, we can also build some of these features. Like we could pretty easily build our own iMenu feature, if that makes sense. So if we need to, I can probably pick up some of the feature stuff and implement them as well, and then we could always send them back and Alan could integrate them. So I don't really know to what degree we're able to do that, but if we can finish everything else and we get to the point where we want to start working on that stuff, we do have that option potentially if 4coder has the bindings for it, which some things it might, some things it might not, and so I don't know. All right, so what we did already, and we did this if you've been watching when we do 4coder Fridays, essentially what we do is we made our own 4coder file here. It's called 4coder Casey, and we left his 4coder custom file the same. And then all we did was we would go over, this way it makes it really easy for us so we don't have to worry when he does new drops, we don't have to worry about like, fussing with it or anything. We can go over to 4coder custom, and regardless of where he's at, all we have to do is just if zero out like his stuff, if that makes sense. Like if zero out his ideas of what should happen, or not his ideas what should happen, but his examples, I should say, of what should happen, and then call ours. So really, this is it. It's just like we just do that, and then we call the Casey our bindings here, right? So that's essentially all we're talking about. Okay. So we got to include our file, but other than that, I think that's literally all we need to do to take a vanilla version of 4coder and turn it into something that we can use. So here we go. Let's take a look here. CMDID auto tab is an undeclared identifier. I don't know what CMDID auto tab even is. So let's just comment that out. I guess, oh, you know what? That was a function, though, that I think used to do something. So I think maybe I should look, because that's probably something that just the name got changed to be, or something like this. Let's see. Specific keys can override vanilla keys. Write an auto tab. Auto tab line at cursor. So I'm guessing it's probably auto tab line at cursor. I'm guessing. So it looks like what he did was he probably built out the auto tab features, maybe. And so now it's a little more, oh, here it is. It's write an auto tab, write character. Okay, I see. So I think probably we can just use this, I think. Don't quote me on that, because I don't know. And yeah, maybe Alan's in the chat. And if he's in the chat, he could probably tell you better than I could. So let's compile that and see if we're, okay. So now that we're compiled, let me go here so we can launch it. So if I launch Fored, and I'm here, hey look, I can open something. So if I open 4coder, I don't really want to open something like that. I want to open like a test file. So let's open like test.cpp, right? I don't actually know how to open a new file now that I think about it, because that's not a valid file. I don't know how to create a file. So let's maybe open something that already exists, since I don't know how. readme.txt. There we go. So here is our readme file, and it looks like, so right, it looks like my stuff is just working, right? So that's all just working exactly as it should. So that's great. Yeah, that's all real good. And let me see if I can I shift tab? Yeah, so this is great. So I think we're pretty much good to go on that. So all I really need to do, I think we had most of our key bindings. There's some key bindings in there, obviously, that we didn't do yet. But for the most part, I think we're good to go on starting to try and make everything work with the Modal interface. So here's my plan for doing the Modal interface. What I'm guessing I can do, and I realize this is kind of circuitous, but like I said, since 4coder doesn't have modes in it yet, and I think Alan said he was going to add them someday, but I don't really want to force him to focus on that, because I think we can just do it, and I'd rather he spend his time adding other features to the editor. You know, stuff that we can't work around before he starts doing convenience things. I feel like we can just sort of make this work. And so my thinking on that was just, well, all I really have to do is make it so that all of my, all of the things that I might do actually go through a helper function that just switches on the mode, right? Because if I do a custom command sig, I can make something here that's like, you know, modal Q or something, which is essentially doing a modal operation for the key Q. And then in here, I can just check a global variable, right? I can do something like say, okay, there's a, you know, a static, you know, edit mode equals false or something like this, right? And then all I have to do is say, well, if I'm in edit mode, then do one thing. And if I'm not in edit mode, I'll do another. Pretty simple. So if I had something like that, I could say, well, all right, if we're in edit mode and, oops, that's not a bind. If we're in edit mode, I want to insert the character, you know, in the non case, right? And whatever I'm doing, I want to insert the character Q if I'm not in edit mode. But if I am in edit mode, I want to do whatever my binding was for the Q key. So the Q key here is copy region as kill, right? So what I need to do is I need to just have whatever the copy command is. Now I think we already looked up what that was, cmdid copy. So I'm pretty sure I can literally just do exec command context cmdid copy. I'm pretty sure that's all I need to do. And now I have a modal version of the Q key. I can just bind the Q key to this, and I'm done. Not the prettiest way to do it, sure, but takes 10 seconds, totally workable. So, like I said, I'd probably rather Alan spend his time on something better than adding modal support when this is a trivial workaround for it. So that's the way I think, that's a tack that I think we're going to take. And if I take a second here to make the toggle, so this is the toggle, like the modal toggle. Then all I need to do is just do edit mode equals not edit mode. Very, very straightforward, right? And then I just bind that to the tilde key, and we're good to go. Real basic, super straightforward, I think. So I'm just going to try that with a couple things. I'm going to see if it works, and if it does work, we're just going to go whole hog. And I think that's that just solves the problem. We're done at that point. So I'm just going to take my cut, paste, and copy. So I'm just going to do those. So we've got Q, F, and W. So it's CMDID for F, it's paste, right? And for W, it's cut. And that's it. So now I could bind these guys, right, to modal, the modal Q, F, and W, and then tilde can be the modal toggle. So I can now just come down here and say, all right, instead of the Q key with any modifiers at all, I don't care about modifiers anymore, I'm going to change this to be modal Q, and I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for these guys here, modal, let's see here, modal W and modal F. And then in order to do the sort of the changeover one, which is this guy, I'm just going to do MDFR none modal toggle. And that's it. So I don't actually know, like I said, if that's going to work. I have no idea. What did I do? None of the two overloads compute all the argument types. Bind. Oh, is that? Do I need to do a bind user, right? Okay, yeah, so it's bind me. That's what it is. Forgot about that. If you define the function, it's bind me, I think. Don't quote me on that. All right. So now I'm going to try it again. So here we are. And again, I'll load in, I'll load in some file that we can play with, readme.txt, and here we go. And so now what I'll do is just test that these Qs are actually working. So there's QR and F, sorry, QW and F doing their normal thing. Now I'm going to hit tilde to switch into the mode and see if editing works. So mark the region. Let's see. I'll hit Q, I'll hit F, and the paste worked. Perfect. And now if I switch back out of the modal mode, and I'm good to go. All right, so that's a trivial support for modes right there. So no problem. I think we're pretty much good to go. That's all we need. Now, I don't know very much about the features that are in 4coder for doing what we need to do to support modal more effectively. Because one of the things I found in Emacs that's very important in order for modal modes to work is you have to make it very obvious when you're in the mode, because otherwise you get all confused. And so I need to do some things like changing the cursor color or changing the line highlight. I don't know if 4coder can do those things at the moment. Like, I don't know what support it has for that sort of stuff, but I know it has some of it. So I'm going to take a brief gander at some of those things just to see what things there might be available for us that we might be able to do for colors and that sort of thing. So let's see if there is anything real briefly, and if there's not, again, we'll just ask Alan if maybe he could throw us a bone on that one and give us something we can use just to something that will make things a little more standout. So let's see, where would that be? I guess it'd probably be in 4coder custom.h, probably, but I don't really know. So you can open a color tweaker, but let's see here. What are the actual functions that we have? Dynamic int, hook ID, dynamic type. A lot of stuff in here. Map ID, yeah, hot sig, dynamic. How do you set the font? I thought I saw stuff for setting the fonts. Set extra font sig. So there may not be anything for that yet, because I don't really see anything in here. It looks like there's some color stuff, but I don't super see much there for it. Let me just double check one thing too, which is when I start. Okay, so all I did was open panel V-split. See, the problem is too, though, it could be hidden. It could be a feature that's like a CMD ID that actually allows you to set the font color. So I don't know. This is probably one we'll just have to ask Alan. Again, Webster, not Murray, because Murray would be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. What? But I'd be like, oh, sorry, whoops, I meant Alan Webster, and we accidentally asked you, and we know you have no idea, so sorry, man. You know, our bad. So yeah, like there's the color tweaker thing. Is there a font setting somewhere extra? No. All right, so I'm just gonna leave that for now, and I'm gonna assume it's not in there, but it may actually be in there. But I just don't see anything obvious, so I'm just gonna let that go for some other fun times. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on this path. So what I need to do now is I need to go through all the stuff that I've got in my Emacs file, and I've got to map them all to something that 4coder can do that is roughly equivalent to whatever I was doing at the time in Emacs. So basically, like, here's all of those things that I need to have happen. I'm going to leave what we've got here because I may need to refer to some of these things that we figured out in terms of what they actually are. So I'm going to put all those in here for the time being, and I'm going to try and figure out what they all do, if that makes sense. Let's see here. Actually, I guess, you know what I probably should do for the moment, though? I should probably just make all of these be binding things. So let's just first map all this. So let's do define key. We'll search for that. We'll go to the back. We'll delete everything in here. Actually, you know what? That's not exactly what we want to do. There we go. What I actually want to do is probably just do a kill rectangle. There we go. And then I'll delete all this stuff. And then all of these guys are just a matter of doing bind me context, comma, and then I guess these are all meant to be actually, are they all meant to be character constants? It looks like they are. So do that, modifier none, modal something, and then semicolon. So let's just do that. Okay. So we know we need all of these keys, and so we'll do like modal single quote, you know, modal comma, modal period, modal, what's that, forward slash, modal semicolon, modal open bracket, close bracket, and then A, Z, B, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Does someone tell me how Z got there? M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and C. Yet, don't ask me how those got arranged. I guess they just did. There we go. I guess I switched what Z and C did and didn't want to do the two things. All right, so A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. It looks like I bound every single key. Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. I'm nothing if not completist. I don't know. All right, so let's put this stuff in here. That's seem to say buffer is what, backslash. So it looks like we got a backslash in there we want as well. Let's get that in there. So there's backslash. Backslash, and then here we've got just the basic ops, oops, kill rectangle, and kill rectangle. So let's build that out and get the numbers in there, just in case we want them. Minus and equals. And then finally, I've just got a couple of the special keys here that are bound. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So basically, I just need these guys and these guys. Okay. I think that's it. All right. So let's see here. We've got kind of a hodgepodge here. Prior and next. Prior and next are actually just like page up, page down. That's just what Emacs still calls them, because I think that's maybe what they used to be called on super duper old keyboards, like terminal, back in terminal land. I don't know what the F keys are I don't know how to bind F keys in 4coder. Really no idea. So that's probably something I should look up. If it's possible. Looks like they don't work. I would say to do Alan get these working sometime kind of suggests that the F keys don't work. So I'm going to assume they don't work and leave them off for now. If I'm wrong about that, Alan will tell us. Let's go ahead and just F0 that out for now. In fact, you know what? I'll comment it out as well, since it's a bunch of Lisp, and gray it out so we don't have to look at it. Like I said, I don't actually use these yet, so I certainly don't need them, but we might as well do them for completeness at some point if they do end up in there. Okay, so we now need a few other ones, and it looks like he has all the rest of them. So all of these guys, it looks like, are in there. So I'll just put all these guys in here as well. So let's do another kill rectangle on that. There we go. And I guess I just want to kind of do. How do I get at those keys? I'm not sure where I get at those key codes. Oh, I just do codes arrow. Okay. So all I have to do is just do codes arrow, and then I say the thing, the modifier none, and then I can access it. Now back is what, the delete key? I assume that's backspace. Let's just assume that's backspace for now. I don't actually know, but let's assume it is. And then I can just go ahead and do some of this. Oops. There we go. And then some of this. Okay. So with that in mind, then I don't need any of these anymore. I think those are all good. And so now I just need to actually name these guys something meaningful. So this is, modal backspace. That one was right. Shouldn't have deleted it. And this is modal up, down, left, right, delete, insert, home, end, page up, page down, and escape. All good. So at this point, we actually know that the insert is always bound to modal toggle, right? So that one's actually done. The rest of these now, we actually have to go and implement what they do, which is more of a tall order, certainly, right? So let's go ahead and grab all these guys. Let's go ahead and grab all these guys and actually start to make them into something. Now this, where we've got all of these things here, are all things that we presumably are going to replace. So I'm also going to kind of get like some of this stuff here, and I'm just going to get it out of the way for now. And I'm going to put it down here right? And kind of if zero it out so that it's not over binding anything that we are trying to do ourselves. So I'm just going to make that kind of be not happening anymore. Yeah. Okay. So now in here, since I've got all of these bindings, I should be able to cut and paste them up to the top and then actually make like a switchable function for each of them, which I can probably do with a macro, probably, would be my guess. Also, I suppose spacebar should also be bound somewhere in here, like maybe there, because it's also modal. Yeah. So now if I grab all these and I stick them up at the top, like so, I should be able to turn all of these guys into something useful. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I don't really know if this will work. I'm going to try it and just see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and make a macro. I'm going to search here for bind me, right? Go back here, set the mark, search for none, comma, cut, delete the empty space, search for the semicolon, and delete that. And then I'm just going to do like some kind of macro. So I'm going to do something like define modal key, and then I'm going to do the open paren, put that function in there, and then close it off like so. And hopefully that macro will work so that I can just come through here and define all of these modal things and go. So now I basically got a giant table of these modal things. So then I'm hoping I can do define modal key with the binding name. And what that will do is it'll just do this. And then we'll do the edit code and the normal code. And I'll just straight up do that. Something like this. So all I'm really doing is just making a macro that does the trivial switch here so that I can just, I can just make it so that each of these things is as simple as like, and in fact, I guess now I think about it, I almost always do exec command right character. So I can probably just do that for now, actually. Because there's only a few which are like these ones down here that wouldn't do that. All right. So that's pretty good. So I think all we need to do is just have the edit code. So whatever the code is that I want to have happen here, that's all we actually need to do. And furthermore, we kind of know that it's always going to be exec command in most cases too, at least for now. So I can probably also do that. So it's just like the edit code is that. And so now it's pretty trivial for me to just make like whatever I want to have happen be modal is actually real easy. Because now I just have all the stuff up here. And furthermore, in theory, if I just do this everywhere, now like I am doing something that actually doesn't bind any keys to anything, right? There's no modal versions of any of the keys. Let's go ahead and make that a little faster. Don't ask me why I did that. Sometimes people just like some rectangular cut and paste. Who knew? It's a lot of fun. All right, so let's see if we can get this working for the most part. Okay, so, right, gotta actually make that be binding name. And then let's go ahead and recompile. Some function modal f, already have a name, yes, you're right. And so let's actually make those guys be implemented the way we wanted to. So instead of this stuff, we'll get rid of these guys here. And we'll just say, all right, so modal F we knew was command ID paste. Modal Q was command ID copy. And modal W was command ID cut. And so now I should be able to do that, right? What's the problem? Toggle already has a body. Yes, that's true. That was a mistake. That was my bad. Let's find toggle here. So insert. Where is the other toggle? Here we go. So these two guys are actually special ones that don't go through our table at the moment because they don't have two different versions. They're always the same. Same with this. And so this is like note Casey, modal keys come here. And there we go. All right. So obviously we got to close 4coder. And then we can relaunch. Oops. We can relaunch. And so now let's see if that worked. I don't actually know if it did. In fact, you know what? I don't think we bound anything to opening a file. So that's probably a mistake. We're going to need to do one more thing at least, which is bind something to open a file, which I believe is Z in my configuration now. Let me double check that. Is find file, yeah. All right, so let me just go through and do the obvious ones of these that we have here. So I'm going to open up 4coder. Well, how should I do this? I'm trying to think of what the easiest way is to do this here. Probably this way. All right. So space is supposed to be set mark. Backslash is, I don't know what that is, save. Single quote is previous, is like, oh, last keyboard macro, call keyboard macro, which I don't think is in 4coder yet, so that we don't have to worry about. But comma is previous error. Period is fill paragraph. I don't even know if we need to do that in 4coder. Maybe if we're lucky, that won't even have to exist. It's just because Emacs is crappy that you even ever have to do that command. It's a completely worthless command. But so maybe if we're lucky, Alan will have gotten to the point where we don't need to do that by the time we even get to binding it. So that would be kind of cool. Anyway, / is other window. Semicolon is view back to mark. Open bracket is start keyboard macro. And close bracket is end keyboard macro. Let me go ahead and get ourselves annotated here. Okay, A is currently undefined. So A is available. Currently A doesn't do anything. So we can bind that to something else eventually. B is switch buffer. C, like I said before, although it was down here, it's find corresponding file. D is what? Is next line. Next line. Really? So D and E go up and down, which I didn't even realize. I don't know why they do that. That doesn't seem super useful. I'm going to call that available. So I never use that. At the moment, anyway. So let's see. Paste is done. You know what? These should all be to-dos now I think about it too, right? Note to-do. Yeah. So that's done. Modal G, go to line. Modal H indent region. Let's see, I, beginning of line. Wait, what? Why do I have that? There's a bunch of stuff in here that I just don't need. That's ridiculous. All right, doesn't matter. J is I menu. K is kill line. L is replace in region. M is save and make without asking. N is next error. O is query replace. P is quick calc. Let's see, copy is done. Right character is search backward. I'm sorry, R. S is search forward. T is load to do. U is undo. V is switch buffer other window. W is done. X is find file other window. Y is indent. And C/Z is find file. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. For now, is there anything? Let's see what we had here. I don't know that I want any of these. I'd have to think about these more. I'm just going to call these available for now. The only one I want at the moment is kill this buffer. I don't think I want any of the rest of that stuff. Where is CMU replace string? Do we have CMU replace string in here? So we've got replace in region. We've got the iSearch. So I guess we're fine. I guess I'm okay with all of that. I feel like I'm okay with all that. All right, so we're gonna leave that be. So let's come down here and deal with this stuff. All right. So modal minus and modal equals. I don't even remember what those do. What do those do? So equals was quick calc? What's minus? So minus and equals don't actually do anything, I guess, because quick calc I had bound to P. So I guess those are both also available, as far as I know. And then these ones down here should be pretty straightforward. All right. All right, so backspace is kill token when it's... so these, I guess all of these are actually shouldn't be modal keys. All of these should probably be actual functions. They should not be defined modal key. I think these ones should probably actually be for reals, if that makes sense. And what I might want to do is do this, like define modal key and define bimodal key. So there's normal code and edit code, like so. Or maybe edit code and normal code. Something like that. Because that way I could probably make it so that this is just an alias for this. So this is defined bimodal key, and it does binding name, edit code, and then just passes command ID right character, like so. Seems like a reasonable thing. I don't know if that works. Let's find out if it does. Yeah. All right, so define bimodal key now gives us a way of, if we want to specify that this thing does two different things depending on the mode, it never inserts a character because it's not actually a character key, it's a special key all the time. That seems like a good idea. Okay, so we have, in this case, we've got the edit code and we've got the regular code. So for backspace, let's actually do these guys. We'll start with these ones first. So here's 4coder KC. Where is the backspace thing? It should be down here somewhere, right? Here it is. All right, so for all of these, we've got the basic ones down. So if it's not in edit mode, right, the one that comes after, if that makes sense. So in this case, like anything that comes after all of these. Oops. So if we have something that's coming after all of these for normal code, in this case it should all be the stuff that lines up with what's on the left side of the screen right now. So backspace should just be Command ID backspace. Up should be Command ID up, or move up rather. Down should be Command ID move down. Left should be Command ID move left. Command ID move right. And then delete is still just, yep, delete. And home should be like seek beginning of line. Yeah, okay, so Command ID seek beginning of line, yeah. Command ID seek end of line. And then page up is just, I guess, page up. Page up. And Command ID page down. Escape is available right now. So I don't know what that's going to be. In Emacs, it's kind of a key you can't use because they use it for all kinds of weird stuff. So we could actually use escape for some good stuff, probably like getting out of things. So that's probably a good thing. In fact, I don't know, does Alan define any interesting things here? I don't know if this had anything for escape. It didn't. So I don't know. Maybe escape does something, maybe it doesn't. I'm not entirely certain. We'll have to ask him about that. So anyway, I think we're good with most of this stuff. So let's just keep on going with actually defining things here. So I need, for some of these ones, if I look at my Emacs version, I've got some more specialized things that come in here. So typically what I do is like I'll kill a token in one direction or the other instead of just a single key. Or instead of moving up and down by just one line, I'll move by multiple lines. Now, I believe we already worked out how to do some of that stuff in here in a previous stream. So here you can see seek white or token right, and seek alphanumeric or camel. We've got some different kinds in here. So I don't know. Some of these will just work, right? So if I want to go by tokens and I'm in the modal mode, I can just say when I move left, I can do, or right as the case may be, I can do, in these two cases, I can probably just use those. And I think those do what I want. Now, I don't actually know if you can say I want to kill back that far. Let's see. Those are pretty versatile functions. Yeah, so what I don't know, right, is I don't actually know see, with the parameters and all this stuff, I bet I can just actually write my own version that kills a character backward, that kills a token backwards, right? But I don't know enough about how it works. We may have to get help from Alan or take a look at some of the examples. So from right now, I guess what I'll do is delete token. I think home is still going to be seek beginning of line for now. So I think that's actually going to be the same in either case. And this is probably going to be the same in either case for the moment. Although that... I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyway, let's keep going here. So if I'm lucky with modifier control, so is there any way, I need a way to do this operation. So I need to like be able to go up, and I need to go up to the next like blank line or something like that. And so I don't know if that's a thing you can do or not. Let's see. Seek. It looks like you can't do that yet, maybe. So that might be one that we're going to need. So this is a to-do seek to previous blank line. This is seek to next blank line. This, I think, at the moment is just fine. I think those are always home and end. I don't know that I'm going to have those be different depending on the modes. These we just need to actually go implement the functions. These are actually done. And these, I guess I need here. I put this in the wrong place, didn't I? That's where I actually wanted it. All right. So yeah, not 100% certain on some of these because again, this is still a kind of in progress sort of thing, but looks reasonable. So backspace again would be back token. So this is like cm delete token backwards, or delete token left, and this would be cmd delete token right. And I probably don't need to do command ID because they're not command IDs. These are mine, so I think these would actually be this sort of thing, right? So yeah, so I think I could implement delete token right and delete token left. And I don't know if I can implement any of the other ones. Maybe I can. Like I said, I got to learn how to program in this. I don't really know. Delete token left. Delete token right. Just put a Casey on there for good measure. Okay. So if I've got delete token left and delete token right, what I'm guessing, and I don't actually know if this is true, is that I could create something here that essentially used the movement to do my delete for me. So if I was to do like something like cmdid delete range, for example, I don't know what the parameters of that actually are, but you know, I'm assuming that if we could figure them out, we could pass something like, let's see, path command overline. It doesn't look like we can though. Because what we'd want to do is delete, we'd want to be able to basically pass it like a beginning and an end, you know what I mean? And have it delete whatever that is. So I'm going to call this a to-do as well. And we'll ask Alan how to do that. All right. So we're getting there. We're getting there. Cannot convert argument 2 from something to int. So is it, do I have to do exec command me? Or how do I exec one of my own things? Or is that just dumb because you wouldn't do that? You'd just use the actual code? Maybe. I'm not sure how that's meant to work. Let's see here. Build at launch location. So I guess the problem here is, yeah, you'd never call exec command of your own command. But I feel like you would want to. Like, I feel like you kind of want to have the ability to do that. I don't know if you can or not, though. Let's take a look at 4coder custom. You kind of want those two things to be unified so that you don't have to think about doing like one or the other. Like exec command. Let's see here. Yeah, it would be nice if those could work the same way, you know, so that you could use an ID with them. But not really a big deal because, like I was saying, at the moment, I can't really implement those functions at the moment anyway. So that's really not a huge deal either way, in my opinion. So yeah, let's just go ahead and make one more of these and then use that. What I can do here is say, okay, so define bimodal key is actually define, you know, full bimodal key or something like that. And that would actually put the exec code in here. So it would be something like this. Right? So you do the exec command there, and then you also do the exec command here. So that way now you can actually just call your own function instead of actually having to use IDs or not IDs specifically. And then in here, when we actually do define full bimodal key, it will actually just straight up put whatever you pass as the macro in there. Let's see if that works. So now when we do bimodal key, I can just change this to full bimodal key on the ones where we have written something. And then that'll work. Of course, I will have to, in here, change this to an exec, if that makes sense. But now I can at least call Casey delete token write. And Casey delete token write is now, I guess, just a void star, really. Like, I mean, not a void star, but it's not a custom command sig anymore. I don't think. Let me see what custom command sig actually does. Yeah, so I guess it's just that. And so that way you can just call that directly if you want to. I don't know if this is a good idea. I think this might be a bad idea. But we'll ask Alan how we should work around it. But so let's say I've got this, right? Then I should be able to just pass command context app to my thing here. Like that. And it should work. But again, a little janky, so we probably want to find a better way to do that long term. All right, we've only got about 3 minutes left, which is not a lot of time. But let's see here. Okay. So I think we're still good. I think we're still moving along. I don't really know what the global map is versus map ID file. I think that's what happens when you're up in the mini buffer thing or something. I'm not totally sure. But when you're up in that thing, you are always modal in some sense. So I feel like for that, I can just straight up do these guys. Interactive open, open in other as X. Open to do is T. Change active panel is actually now a different key, right? I forget which that is. Other window. It's /. So that, and interactive switch buffer is B. So these are all now, I think, correct, right? All right. Okay. So yeah, now if I do Z, I can do that. I can come. Interesting though. So there is one weird thing there, which is that if I do Z, it types the Z as well as doing the open. I wonder if that's a bug or if that's something I did. So it looks like maybe this isn't quite right. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how this is meant to work. I'm not sure if MapID global, if this overrides that or exactly how it works either. Let's find out about at least that much of it. Because again, I don't know. All right, so here's fored. Let's do a Z. Let's load readme.txt, and I can still type Z just fine there, so that obviously worked fine. And now if I just type Z, okay, so it inserts Z, which is what I wanted. So that's good. And then if I switch to Modal and I do Z, not getting anything. Wait, is my Modal working at all though? It is, just not Z. So I may not have done Z yet, which may be a bit of a mistake. Let's try that one more time. So let me see. Yeah, got to put that in there. So it's actually interactive open. There we go. All right, so we can do a few more here, I think. Let me just try and do some more ones quickly. Let's see what else we got from ones that I had working before. So search and R search or S and R. Right, so here's search forwards. So search, search and R search. So that's there. Let's see here. Save is that. And interactive save as, I don't know that I need to do that just yet. Space is set mark. Single quote is what, like call keyword? Yeah, we don't need that. Previous error, fill paragraph, other window. So other window is we just had it. Where was it? It's up here. Change active panel. So that's other window. View back to mark may be in there right now, but I don't know what it is, so we'll pause that one for a moment. Switch buffer is this interactive switch buffer one. Find corresponding file. Did we ever have that working? I don't know if we did. I don't think we did that one yet. So yeah. Oh, and our clean all lines. Clean. I thought we had a version. Yeah. Casey clean and save is actually what I want, not save. So I actually want that to be Casey clean and save. So yeah, we actually want that. And then I'm going to run into this problem again where I can't call my own function. That's a bummer. That is a bummer. So I think that's our biggest problem so far. All right, well, I should probably wrap it up for now because we can pick this up tomorrow. We've got all week to get it working, and we're pretty close. But at this point, I would say our biggest problems are, I'm just going to write them down here. So we have, how does modal interact with global? E.g., hitting Z for open at the initial prompt does work, but it also types a Z. So that's, I'm not sure how to work around that yet. For number two, it's how do we call things to make new functions, like how can we kill between the current cursor position and a seek backwards white space cursor position. 3, how can we make our own functions and the built-in functions work interchangeably so that we don't have to keep special casing ones that are ours. I think that's mostly what we've run into so far. All right. All right. So I think we're good. I think we're in pretty good shape here because even after just an hour, I'm going to be able to get all of these done on the next stream, certainly bound to the right things. And then we're really probably just in a position to start trying to code up the things that we're missing from Emacs, which is not a whole lot. So I'll see how Alan's doing, and if he has any advice for us, because he knows this stuff, because he wrote it and we don't. So he may be like, "Oh, hey, don't do what you were doing. That was stupid or something." And so we might have to go correct a few things that we did that were dumb. But we'll find out. All right. So I'll go ahead and wind this down, and I'll leave that stuff open. All right, everyone, thank you very much for joining me for another episode of Handmade Hero. It's good to be back typing again. Hopefully my hands are going to be okay for this week. We'll see how they hold up. And hopefully at the end of the week, too, we'll have a new Modal editor that we can all use, and I will be giving the whatever we do on this week back to Alan so that it can just come with 4coder if he wants to do that. If he doesn't want to do that, then I'll just throw it in the Handmade Hero folder so that anyone who watches the show and has the source can access it. But I'm assuming that he won't mind sticking it in there, so he can just, it'll just come, if you have 4coder, you'll just have it. So that'll be good. All right, so thanks very much for joining me. I'll be back here again, not tomorrow because I have to go to physical therapy for my hand. But I'll be back here Wednesday, and okay, great. No, I don't want to connect to VP. Great. No, that's good. Thank you. Thank you for this. Can you go away now, please? There we go. Great. So I'll be back here Wednesday, same time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, to finish up doing the basic bindings, which I think are pretty easy to do, and then hopefully we can start pushing into the sort of finishing work of trying to get it actually usable for our purposes, like putting in make and moving through errors and that sort of stuff. All right, so thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow. Until then, have fun programming, and I will see you guys on the internet. Take it easy, everyone.